Okay, well, welcome everyone. We're back on board here between two teachers, and I'm Consuelo Lara.
The soon-to-be Honorable Consuelo Lara. I'm Madeline Cronenberg, the soon-to-be formerly Honorable Madeline Cronenberg. And we're welcoming you to Between Two Teachers, and we're going to talk about our last board meeting. Board meeting at West Contra Costa that remarkably, the thing we didn't expect that would happen, happened, and that is that we served together on the board. And that happened because there was an oversight in there's an ed code section that says all school board members take office and leave office, terms begin and end on the first Friday of December, the Friday of the first week of December, the week after the election. And we are, that would be today. That would be today. So the term has ended. I am now no longer on the West Contra Costa School Board, and Trustee Lara is on the West Contra Costa School Board. But that began at midnight this morning, or 12:01 a.m. this morning, which was not the case on Wednesday when we had our board meeting. So when we had our board meeting, what we did was do a ceremonial swearing in, which it took place as of this morning. But the new board members were not able to take their position on the board yet because legally Ms. Block and I were still on the board. Ms. Block was not well and did not attend the meeting. I did attend the meeting, but I was very conscious of the fact that I was, no one knew I was, including me, knew that I was going to be attending as a voter on action items. So I abstained from the only action item that was on the agenda. But let us hear what you thought about the meeting.
Well, yeah, it was my first meeting, and I did get to sit next to Madeline, and I had been looking forward to us passing notes to each other and just really having, working as a team. And so that we were able to do that for one night. And it was a very special evening for me. I had so many good friends out there, my family. I just truly felt humbled and honored, and everybody telling me how proud they were of me, and just feeling, the moment and being ready, and that this is something that I feel very ready for. And one of the things that struck me during the campaign, people were saying, "Oh, you could have 3 Latinas on the board," and I wasn't thinking about that. I was involved with the campaign. But once we got on there and we were on the stage, I realized how important that really was, especially to our young people. Because, the experience of having a young person say to you, "I want to be just like you," is a very powerful thing for me. And there's a responsibility to that. And then to be there with these other Latinas, and the beauty of it is how diverse we are. We are not a stereotype. We are not all the same. We are very, very diverse. And so I felt that was really significant, a thing to happen. And I felt just really happy to be there. I mean, I was just bursting. And all my good friends were there to witness it, and my sons were there, and I believe it's taped and forever. And it was too bad it was overshadowed by the drama later. But it was, I got a good taste of what's involved, and we broke up at about 11:30, I guess, and so, yeah.
It was an early night, actually.
Oh, it was an early night, okay.
Because look at how much we took out of the agenda.
That's true. There was so much taken out. And the thing I feel is like all of these things are so important. I felt everything that we are dealing with is very important to deal with. So very ready to continue this job. And that's how I felt.
I mean, it was an exciting meeting. We did have that one big group of people who came who we did have to vote on because there was a time limit on it. Otherwise, we would not have, we put everything else over that didn't have a time limit because I pushed for that because I really wanted to be sure that the new board got to vote on everything the new board expected to vote on. But this one item, the charter school renewal, could not be put over because of limitations in the law, and the time limit was up, so that the vote had to happen on Wednesday night. And since I was not, so Ms. Block was not there, Ms. Hernandez Jarvis and Ms. Lara were not eligible to vote yet because their swearing in hadn't taken place. It was President Cuevas and Trustee Phillips and Trustee Panis and I who had to vote on it. And I told everybody right at the beginning I wasn't going to vote. I was going to abstain, which is very unusual for me. And my 12 years I've abstained one other time. But I did want to abstain on this. And because people who wanted to make a to essentially lobby or share their thoughts on this vote would not have come to me because I wasn't supposed to be voting on it. So I felt it was just unfair to them and unfair to the public for me to decide to vote. So I didn't. And instead, the vote was just with Trustee Phillips and President Cuevas and Mr. Panis. And the unusual thing that happened was that when the motion was made, this is a totally legal thing to do, but it's just, I will just say, it's unusual. When the motion was made, I abstained. Mr. Panis made a motion. Ms. Cuevas, I think, voted against it, but Trustee Phillips left the dais. So what that just does is then that Trustee Phillips was marked as absent. And as it turns out, for a renewal of a charter school petition, if in fact there are not 3 votes against it, then it automatically renews. And that's in the charter school law. And since there were not 3 votes against it, the renewal went ahead. And it was in a slightly different way than the motion had been made because there had been some conditions on the motion which did not get then included in the way the renewal played out. And you got to see some unusual procedures there.
Yeah, it was very unusual. And what it said to me mostly is how faulty and unfair these laws are that can allow this to happen. It's, you know, we have a history of having unfair, unjust, and even immoral laws in this country, for sure. So one of the things we need to do is change those laws. We want to make sure that if you call yourself a public school, then you have to abide by the same rules and expectations as a public school. So I'm really happy to see on the social media that more and more parents are choosing to walk away from these charter schools. And, you know, who knows, maybe in our district, those, 5,000 signatures that are on parent signatures on waiting lists that have, by the way, been solicited through knocking on doors by family recruiters. So basically, bought. So maybe those parents might think twice and just say, you take my name off of those lists, and I'm going to not abandon my local neighborhood school. And in fact, I'm going to go there, knock on the door, and say, I want to help. I want to be part of the solution to my neighborhood school, and I want to make it better. I'm not going to walk away and abandon that school. So that's part of it. There's so many layers to this. We have to work on Washington or Sacramento and really work on changing those laws. So many different layers to this, and it's going to be a fight, and even though you're not on the board, you are,
Oh, I
we
am.
are partners in.
Yes, we're partners in this, and partners with others throughout the state who are working on the charter school issue in particular. Right now, teachers in both Los Angeles and Oakland are looking at going on strike.
Yes.
And
yes.
the main reason for both of those strikes is the proliferation of charter schools in their districts, which have basically removed the funding that the children in the district so desperately need, and the funding that would allow it to be competitive, right? By building an entirely separate parallel system, it just simply sucks off this huge, California is a very low, funds our state, funds our children at a very low level to begin with. And when you suck it off, in the case of LA, it's almost it's 40%, and I think it's the same thing, or it's maybe a little less than that percentage-wise in LA, although they have the most because of their size. The highest percentage is in Oakland. Both of those districts are in enormous trouble because of how much money they lose to the charter schools. And what it does is it reverses the whole idea of social justice. We put in LCFF, the governor put that in to provide more money to our neediest children. And what the proliferation of charters does when they target school districts with many needy children, which is exactly what they do, it drains the resources from those very children that they say they wish to serve. And one thing I do want to point out is that this is not done, oh, we didn't know that was going to happen. This is incredibly deliberate. They wrote the law. They know that they're draining those resources. They understand that when you get another child into and you recruit to grow your charters, that what you're doing is hurting the neighborhood schools. There isn't like, oh, if they only understood, then they would help. No, that's not the case.
Yeah, it's absolutely done with intention.
Yeah.
They're segregated with intention. They segregate only one race, really, so that's racial segregation right there with intent. So
there's a lot of work to do. I mean, the next thing that's happening in Oakland is the folks in Oakland are organizing to try to get support for their teachers before they're going to go on strike. And so I'm going to be involved in that. I know you're going to go.
Yes.
We want to support their teachers and get the community to have a greater understanding that these organizations that have now played dramatically in both raising the number of charter schools and districts and basically electing folks who will continue to support them are organizations that are not supportive of general public education because they're interested in privatizing. And they should be proud of it. I mean, if you're writing the checks to do it, you're writing the checks to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Just own it.
Just own it.
So there's that.
So,
but that was only, there are many other things that school board has many opportunities.
Just kind of a little cloud.
That's a cloud because in the end, when you wind
that's
up talking about budget cuts that you would not have to make if it were not for the charter schools, that becomes a sad conversation.
But even with that, I know I've shared some of my visions in the past. I have many, many more that are developing, and so that's the good news.
Yes.
We can push forward on all the things that we want to do to improve our schools, to make our schools better, and to shine a light on all of the beautiful hidden gems that we have in this district. Oh my goodness. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
It's going to be a wonderful next 2 years. It's going to be a lot of surprises coming up in the next 2 years.
You bet. Oh.
So thank you for watching us today. Hello, Demetrio. You're the only person watching probably. But who knows? Somebody else might be. And if you are, we wish you have a wonderful week. We'll be back at least one more time before Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.